everybody, Jared James Nichols here, and I am so excited to be included in the Guitar.com Live. This is amazing, guys. I am coming to you from Nashville, Tennessee. Greetings. I hope that everyone is doing fantastic, safe and sound, staying happy and healthy, and shredding the guitar. Guys, today I want to talk to you a little bit and take you through a blues power masterclass for tips on tone, some technique things I'm always working on. Basically the things that really work for me and the things that have helped me kind of achieve my style, my sound, and just take you through some really fun stuff. So guys, let's say Old Glory. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't. This is my signature Epiphone, Les Paul Custom. Single P90, single Seymour Duncan P90. I got a rat tail bridge, a volume, a tone. This is it, this is Old Glory, right? Cable straight into my signature Blackstar JJN20, which is the combo version. This just came out in May, and I'm plugged straight in, no effects, no pedals right now, none of that. And the reason is, guys, is I want to talk to you today about getting the least amount of gear with the most amount of tone, the most, ideas, sounds. Basically, making yourself do all the work to get all these different ideas out of your head into your hands, right? So for me, I rely so much, you guys, on the volume and tone controls. A lot of players don't realize how expressive their guitar is. Now, this doesn't have to be a Les Paul, this could be any guitar, but a lot of guys just don't realize how much you can do with a simple volume and a tone. And as you can see, I'm super bare bones on here, but I want to show you guys some really cool stuff that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that maybe I don't need an extra overdrive pedal, or how to achieve different tones by the least amount of gear. So let's kick it off, guys. The first thing I'm going to talk about is your volume knob, okay? Now most people when they're playing, they got the volume knob on 10. Totally cool, all good, but there's such a range of sound in this volume knob. So here's a little thing you can do at home that you can start to mess around with. Now, when I am playing through my amps, I usually run them pretty hot with gain, but I love when you can back off and it rolls off and you get to more clean, it doesn't stick on so much gain. So what I like to do is I like to take a simple blues lick, right? Now, let's say we are here on the 5th fret on the D string, right? I'm tuned down a little bit, but you'll be able to get this. Now, I'm gonna turn my volume all the way up and play this lick. Check this out. That was my volume at 10, right? Now check this out, I got my volume at 2. So as you can tell right here, it's very saturated, but if I back off, there's so many different sounds from 1 to 10, so check this out. Now instead of going down and kicking on another overdrive pedal or, trying to figure out, man, how do I get more gain? You can really use your volume knob almost as a throttle, and you can really throttle and play your licks and play whether it's a lead or a rhythm just by adjusting the volume control to get the desired amount of gain. It's something that I do all the time, and it works out so well because I'll play a solo, right? You can really just use that volume knob and just ride it like a wave, right? That is one of the biggest things that I do, guys. When I found out I could do that with a really distorted amp and clean it up to get those nice cleans, it was like all my overdrive pedals kind of went away, right? So now moving on, check this out. The tone knob. The tone knob is such a big deal because check it out. If I want to sound like I have kind of like a neck pickup, right? Here's my volume knob and my tone knob at 10. Check this out. now, if I back that off, right, I'm gonna put my tone at, and then if you wanna get that kind of woman tone, that cream Clapton-y sound, you can take that tone knob and roll it all the way off. Check this out. And that's how you get that woman tone. And then if you want to have the poor man's wah-wah, that's what I call it. You can take your, I take the palm of my hand and I roll it back from 0 to 10. Watch this, volume all the way up. That's like the poor man's wah-wah trick, right? And now, there's so many fun things you can do, guys. Like, the more I think about it, the more it comes out like a volume swell, right? So I'm gonna take my hand, I'm gonna hit on the 7th fret of the A string, right? And then I bring up the volume. You know, it's so cool and it's so expressive to really get to know your guitar. You really get to know the volume knob and the tone knob. Whether you have a 3 pickup guitar, a Strat, a Les Paul, whatever it is, the more you know your guitar and the sounds that you can get out of it, it's just beautiful. So for me, I get all these ideas going in my head and then I just start to use my knobs. I say, okay, I want to get kind of a neck sound. Okay, cool. I'm going to put my tone knob back at 5 and I'm going to put my volume at 5. And now it's like I really want a really sharp attack. I'll put it all at 10. And then a whole nother aspect of that, guys. Now you'll notice, if you don't know me, you're going to say, where'd this guy put his pick, right? But I don't use a guitar pick. Now the reason being is I write with my left hand, right? And when I started to play guitar, my teacher tried to tell me to use a pick, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like me. I wanted to feel the notes and the strings under my fingers. So I've always kind of used my fingers since the beginning. Exclusively, I've been playing like fingerstyle like this for like 15 years. So really what also adds to the tone, adds to that touch and getting that technique down is adjusting your picking, where you're picking and how hard you're picking. That is a huge aspect of how I play and how I kind of, you know, get on with guitar. Is I love to find where it sounds different in different spots on the neck. So if I'm playing close to the bridge, now my tone is at 10 and my volume's at 3. Check this out. Now you hear it's very tinny. Very cool, and it has its own specific sound. Now if I play that same style, but I move my hand up the neck, move it back down, up, and then also adjusting how hard I'm actually picking each note. If I really want to just lay low. Cool, right? If I want to hammer into it. And then using my volume and tone, I can manipulate it more, right? So tone all the way off, volume all the way up. That sounds insane, right? It sounds like I have some weird pedal on or some filter. And then, you know, if I want to sound maybe more quasi jazzy or soft, I can just use, I can stroke with my thumb. Tone off. Tone all the way up. And all I'm doing, guys, is I'm not even really thinking about my fretting hand. Volume, tone, picking dynamics, right? So that's something I want you guys to just be really aware of when you are writing a song, when you're approaching a solo, when you're doing any of this, because it's so important. And a lot of players, I feel like, they always think to themselves, more is more. More is more. But sometimes using the least amount of gear to get the sounds out of your head, out of your heart, into your hands, that's the way it really comes across genuine, right? So a lot of my favorite players, guys like Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray, Albert King, B.B. King, Robin Trower, Johnny Winter, all these guys, they didn't really use a lot of effects. They mostly used manipulation of their guitars or their amps, right? So that's really, guys, what I first wanted to bring up to you before we went into any licks or tips or tricks or anything like that. So now moving on to our fretting hand. The biggest things I want to talk to you guys about are bending and vibrato, right? It's kind of like a touch, tone, and a feel thing. One of the biggest aspects I spend the most time practicing still to this day is bending and vibrato. I want it to feel right. I want it to almost feel like I can hear a note in my head and then I can play it. So if I go right down here, now I'm adjusting my vibrato speed, I'm adjusting how far I'm bending up. It's all things I'm kind of doing in real time, but I think it really serves a purpose, and it almost takes any licks you play and you can contort them or manipulate them to sound the way you want them to. So I'm gonna do a very simple blues lick, and I just wanna show you guys this. Now, I'm gonna be playing up here on the 8th fret. Let's say I'm in C pentatonic. Now check this out. Right? Sliding up to the 10th fret on the A string, to the 8th on the D, to the 10 on the D, to the 8 on the G, to the 10 on the D. So right here. Now I'm going to pick everything very lightly, and I'm going to use a very slow vibrato. So listen to this. Now I'm going to pick everything pretty hard and use a faster vibrato. Okay, now I'm starting to be able to think to myself, okay, now what if I slide into every note? How does that make this lick sound? Okay, how about I bend into every note? Watch this. That's weird. Or what about this? What if I roll off my tone, I go super heavy on, volume's on 10, and I just really bend into it. Vice versa. Tone on 10, volume on 10. Now you guys will notice I'm not really changing the riff, I'm just changing the punctuation, the tones on my guitar, how fast I'm vibratoing, how much I'm bending each note. And all that does is it takes a simple shell of a riff and it helps me manipulate it in so many different ways. I do this all the time in my playing. A lot of guys will ask me, Jared, show me a riff. It's more like I would want to show you an idea and have you take it and play it the way that you want to and play it the way that you feel it sounds right. That's the beauty of playing blues and rock and jazz and country. You can take the simplest amount of notes, but it's how you play them. It's the way that you say it. It's not the notes you say, it's how you're saying them, right? So check this out. Now, I'm gonna go on the 8th fret of the high E, and I'm gonna bend on the 11th fret of the high E. So check this out. Very simple, right? Very, very simple. But now I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna say, okay, I'm gonna bend this 11th fret up a whole step. So check this out. Simple, right? Now I wanna take the 11th fret, bend it up a whole step, come down only a half step. You hear that? Now I'm starting to kind of get in between the bends, right? Okay, now I want to do that same thing, get in between the bends, but I'm going to do a very wide vibrato when I come back to that 8th fret. Watch this. Now I'm going to do a very fast, small vibrato. Right? There's so many ways that you can play the exact same thing. That's the cool part about guitar, guys, especially electric guitar. Like this guitar right now, I'm strung up with D'Addarios. These are 11 to 56. I'm in a drop D standard tuning. I'm working on a brand new song right now when I film this. But the thing is, the guitar has such a voice that when you can bend on any of these strings, you start to get in between notes. So a simple riff. You hear that? And now I'm going even higher. So if I can give you guys some bending exercises, it's really to be able to go half step, whole step, step and a half, and then bring it back down, right? You really want to be critical with your bending. A lot of people, when they focus on bending and vibrato, they kind of just bend and vibrato at the same time. For me, it's always a bend right up to the note and then add the vibrato. So check this out. I'll stay on that 11th fret on the high E string. Check this out. Now that doesn't sound too fun, but what I'm doing in my head is I'm going, okay, I'm bending up to the 12th, 13, 14, 13, 12, back to the 11. Check this out. You feel me? And what you want to do with that is you can go very slow. And you want to start to hear all of those notes and have your hands get the muscle memory. Then, once you get up to the bend, you can add the vibrato. So check this out. It's very weird. It's a weird exercise, but what this does, you guys, is it kind of trains my ear and also trains my hands to how much I need to bend to get to these notes. So when you're in the heat of battle and you're writing a solo or you're jamming with your buddies or you're on stage and you say to yourself, okay, I'm gonna go for this bend, I really wanna nail it. Doing exercises as simple as that, understanding the exact amount you need to bend, it'll help you nail it every time. It's a surefire guarantee. So if I sit here and now I'm on the 15th fret of the B string and I go, okay, here I wanna go. It's just a really cool exercise that I haven't really seen many people do that really helped me a lot. So you guys should totally check that out. And then talking about vibrato, I think of vibrato as almost like 3 speeds, okay? You have your slow, your medium, your fast. It's kind of like even a bend. It's like you want to be able to do a slow vibrato, okay? On every fret with every finger, but I'm gonna, for this video, I'm gonna just do my index finger on the 9th fret of the G string. So check this out. I'm gonna go. Very slow, medium, fast. Now the reason is you don't always want to have the same vibrato for every note. You know, you could be lower and you want to do a slower vibrato and then come up to a faster, such as this. So check this out. So right there, I was doing a slow vibrato on the low string. And then I ramp up and I come up. So you want to be able to vary your bending, your vibrato with your dynamics as acting like it's a living, breathing thing. I think that's the coolest part about these things that are so specific to the guitar. It's the fact that they are so specific to the guitar that everyone sounds different when they do them. If you think about all of our favorite players, anyone from Stevie to Jimi Hendrix to Jeff Beck to Johnny Winter to Leslie West, they all have their own way of bending and almost vibratoing strings. It's like when you can hear B.B. King, you hear one note and you know it's him. That's the beauty of this stuff, you guys. That's why it's so important to work on this. And for me, as far as lead playing goes, besides the dynamics of your guitar and setting up your amp, you know, to have a tone that will work basically in any parameter, It's really being able to understand the importance of the dynamics of picking, your bending, your vibrato. Okay, so work on that, please. Jared will love you forever if you work on that. It's the most single important thing to achieving your own sound, I truly believe. Before gear, before anything else, you becoming one with the instrument. Doesn't matter what genre you play, doesn't matter what style you play, none of it. No guitar, it doesn't matter. It's you having your own sound. And that really helped me to get to where I'm at. So I hope that you guys take that to heart. Work on your bends, work on your vibrato, work on your volume and tone knobs. Just do it. It's so much fun, and it's very kind of challenging at first, like many things with guitar. But once you really get a feel down for it, it just makes everything play so much easier. And then you pick up other guitars and you're able to understand, wow, like, you know, then you start to get a feel for the necks and what necks feel right to you. This one, the Old Glory, this one has a pretty big baseball bat neck, which I tend to prefer. It's really good. It's got big frets for bending. I just love that. So I've been talking a lot. Let me do some of this bending and vibrato. I'm going to shred a little bit, just jam out, and show you differences in dynamics, bending, vibrato. Very elementary things, but done my way. So check it out. Yeah! So I'm just thinking in my head, phrasing, what notes am I playing? And then how am I playing them? How am I going to attack it? Those are the biggest things to me for playing lead, for playing basically anything, whether it's a riff, single note stuff, is how I'm going to attack it. A lot of times with chords, I kind of can get away with a general overview of how it will feel with the band. But with lead stuff, that's what makes it so dynamic and so expressive. So guys, think about that. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about for a minute is just improvising in general. A lot of people will ask me how I come up with certain ideas or certain solos. Hey, how did you come up with that? And for me, I always equate improvising and playing almost as a domino effect. I'll start on one note and basically I'll kick it, and my hands, my heart, my head will tell me where to go next. Now, that might sound kind of vague, but it's as simple as this. I hit a low E. I think to myself, okay, this is how it feels right now in this moment. And then I get kind of an idea of a sound in my head, and then I chase it. And then I chase it until I find it. So check this out. So if I go, think about it, cool. Now I could just go forever, but the reality is, guys, I'm just kind of making it up as I go. Now these are all notes, scales, patterns I've done so many times, but it's all about trying to make them fresh, make them breathe, you know, in real time. I think a lot of players struggle with saying, oh, I need more licks, and they have the licks that they always play the same time, and that's the way that they do it. But for me, it's more about an idea. It's more about a sound that sparks the creativity. Even when I'm playing things that I've played, you know, a million times, like Threw Me to the Wolves solo, or some of my tracks, and I play the same solo to them, it's all about having a different tone or a different vibe that sparks it. So even if I'm playing the same notes of the same solo I played night after night on the road, in general, it feels different. I react different. There's an energy to it. So guys, just think about improvising in that way a little bit. Put on a jam track, jam with your buddy, and just say to yourself, okay, I'm not gonna play my old licks. I'm just gonna start exploring. I wanna explore the fretboard. I wanna explore, you can do minor pentatonic, major, whatever it is, but you just wanna explore more and try and maybe play a lick that you always play a certain way, flip it, or kind of cut it in half, or maybe do a repetitive part in it. There's certain ways that you can take the same old thing you've been playing forever. Maybe you're stuck in a rut playing the same old stuff, and you can kind of chop it up, or put a different bend on it, or picking dynamics, whatever it may be. I just feel like for me as a player, I never get bored of playing because I always am constantly approaching things differently. So I think that that's a great thing that we could all do a lot more of, and it'll in turn come with a lot fresher playing and a lot fresher perspective for playing guitar. So that's something I really wanted to talk to you guys about, minus the tone, dynamics, vibrato, all that stuff, and just really, let you know the way that I think about it. And I know some people are going to ask, but as far as scales go, of course, we all play the mighty minor pentatonic, but there's certain things that I do. I love to use minor pentatonic, major pentatonic, of course the blues. Those are like the 3 core fundamentals. And then if I want to go even crazier, I'll use Dorian, Mixolydian. I'll start to use the chromatic scale. I'll even go weird and go into like harmonic minor, or of course natural minor and things. It's honestly, I always want to know where the notes are under my hands, so when I hear a sound in my head, I can automatically go to it. Does that sound okay? You know what I mean by that? I hope you do. So like, here it is, say I'm in E again. Oh, I want to have a weird harmonic minor kind of sound. Oh, wow. Maybe I want to go more Mixolydian, so I'll add in the major third. Check this out. Or let's say I want to go more Dorian, so I think to myself, okay, I'm going to play the same way I was. I'm not going to switch everything up. I'm going to add that natural sixth to a minor scale. So check this out. It's all about adapting, playing music, and then thinking in my head, what sound, what color do I want next? That's the way I really kind of go for it these days. I don't think to myself, oh, I'm playing minor pentatonic blues, or I'm in a major key, so I have to stay major. I think to myself, what sound do I want over it? And then I adapt with my picking, with my vibrato. It's more of kind of like a very vocal way of playing, but I feel like it works so well, especially in blues and blues rock and the stuff I really love to play. And also, it just keeps it exciting. And guys, I always will screw up, I'll make a mistake, but sometimes that leads to something even cooler. So don't let it deter you. Everybody makes mistakes, none of us are perfect, and playing guitar, it's all about exploration. That's what it's all about, is creativity and having a great time. So with that being said, I hope my rambling helped you a little bit. I hope it made you think of a few different things. I want to thank Guitar.com. Thank you so much for having me on Guitar.com Live. This is incredible. I cannot wait to get back out on the road, touring, back in the studio, back in front of audiences and connecting in real time, you guys. It's only a matter of time. Until then, let's stay safe, happy, healthy, keep shredding. Thank you, Guitar.com. I love you guys. Blues Power from Nashville, Tennessee, signing out. Here we go.